Some sit still, let life just span. But I choose to move because I can. A butterfly's wings don't break, they fan. Delicate yet strong because I can. The ink of my story, written by hand, it's bold, it's mine because I can. Each mile I run, though tough to plan, I push ahead because I can. MS challenges who I am, but I rise above because I can. The ground may quake beneath where I stand, yet I stay steady because I can. Like rivers that flow to meet the land, I carve my path because I can. These scars are proof of where I began, but not where I'll go because I can. When wings grow weary, I flex my span to soar some more.
Is anyone out there? I'm close to
because
the end.
I can.
Is anyone out there? I just need a friend.
So let them see this woman who ran and keeps on running because I can.
Okay. So, not this past April, but the April just before, I got a phone call on my 45th birthday. And picked up the phone, hello. My friend since the age of 3 was on the line. She said, hey, I'm gonna run the Philadelphia Marathon in November, and I wanna do it in your honor to raise awareness for MS. So of course, what do? You cry a lot. And I said, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Please understand that when I was diagnosed 5 years ago, I had lost vision in my right eye because of optic neuritis. The fatigue was overwhelming, balance gone. I said, I'm done running. I've been a runner all my life. I'm done. That day, when she called me, after I dried my tears, I said, this is amazing, but why? Why are you doing this? She said 3 words. She said, because I can. So on that day, I looked at the website for the Philadelphia Marathon, and marathon, nope, can't do that. Half marathon, no way. I did see they had an 8K, quick math, 5 miles, can I do it? That day, I put my running shoes on for the first time since my diagnosis, and I started training. In November of last year, I went to Philadelphia with my friend Angie. She ran the marathon, I ran my 8K. Why? Because I can. I made some notes here because I want I won't tell you how the race ended up. You're going to have to watch the movie for that. I made some notes here. I used to not have to make notes of anything, but if anyone knows anything about MS, brain fog, and memory, it doesn't always work well. So, again, my name is Allie. While I may look very put together up here, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I didn't always think I would be here, standing here, literally. There were days I could barely stand, days I could barely type. And as an editor of a magazine, that's kind of important. Days I could barely find the words. And words are my everything. They are what satisfy, right? But I lost them sometimes, on occasion. And I got frustrated. I would write pieces like this, like, and I can't get no time to find myself, so potential sits in a jar on a high shelf that I can't reach as you preach what I should and should not do, but who are you to keep me restrained? And I can't get no space, no place to spread my wings as the choir sings. I can't get no air to breathe. Can you conceive such a notion, such an emotion, so intense it paralyzes, while hiding behind disguises of satisfaction? So, while I couldn't always find satisfying words that my mind wanted to say, but my lips couldn't find, what I could always find was truth. And when you find your truth, you find your power. Because, here's the key word here, authenticity. Authenticity isn't just a feeling, it's a frequency. The researchers have measured it, they proved it. The energy that leaves the body when you're being real, truly real, when you're showing up, resonates at a frequency that is, get this, more powerful than love. Let that sink in a minute. Just showing up authentically, you can feel it. Authenticity is the most powerful energy we can emit. And when we create from that place, we don't just make art, we make impact. Adversity. Let's talk about another A word here. Adversity has a way of cultivating authenticity. So again, when I was diagnosed with MS 5 years ago, everything in my world changed. Except for one thing, my desire to create and to connect. Not just to make something, but to make something honest. Because here's the thing. When your body begins betraying you and you can't trust it like you're used to, you start looking for what you can trust. And I chose to trust my truth and share my story, even when it was messy, especially when it was messy. That gives other people permission, right? To share their messy selves. So that's how our documentary, Because I Can, was born. Not from perfection, but from pain. Not from a polished plan, but from a very personal need to tell real stories, including my own. And once I began, I found it really hard to stop because authenticity has a pulse. You can feel it. And once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. It's just like when you hear a calling, you can't unhear it. It becomes your rhythm, your compass, your cause. So my husband's best friend, soulmate, and partner, Jack, and I created AwareNow. Not as a platform to impress, but as a space to express. Raise awareness for causes one story at a time, like these you see behind me here. Over 1,500 stories we've told about all kinds of causes from people all over the world. And as different as each and every one of those stories are, there's one thing that connects all of them. Empathy. What a beautiful thing, yeah? To be able to step outside of yourself and into someone else's life, to take a look at life through a different lens, simply by sharing a story. And with each story that we've shared, from addiction and advocacy to mental health and MS, what matters most hasn't been the polish, it's been that pulse, that rawness, that realness, that reality. So what did we do? We built something. We built a media platform with an audience of 8 million readers on this principle. There is power in unfiltered truth. That stories told from the soul resonate deeper than anything that's engineered for likes or for applause. Because energy doesn't lie. People can feel the difference. You can feel the difference, can't you? Between something that's curated and then something else that connects. Between something that's performative and something that's personal. Each of us in this room, we can feel that. And when our work carries the frequency of authenticity, it carries weight. It moves people. It moves the world. When we started filming Because I Can, there was no glam teams or fancy production trucks. There was me with heavy legs, clumsy fingers, and a voice that sometimes cracked. But it was my real voice, and that is what mattered. Because that's where power lives, yeah? That's where it lives. That's where the connection comes. Not in being polished, but in being present. Authenticity is not about oversharing. It's about offering. Offering a piece of yourself that is true so that others might see that in themselves. So that others might feel less alone. So that others might believe, if she can, maybe I can too. That's the power we have as creators, as storytellers, to create that space that people want, that people need. So I want to pause a second here and just ask you something. What is the realest thing that you haven't shared yet? What's the story that you've been sitting on, not because it's not ready, but because you're not sure that you are? Think about it. We all have one. And I will say, whatever it is, I promise, it's not your polished narrative that will move people. It's your honest one, your authentic one. Because your energy, your frequency, doesn't come from your perfection, it comes from your presence. And when you're creative, you say that word again. And when your creativity flows from that space, it becomes a force. Not just to be seen or heard, but to be felt. So, why do I create now? Why you create? Why do I create? Well, I create because, like the film said, because I can. I create to connect. I create to heal, to hold space for others, giving them permission they don't need, but sometimes they do, to do the same. So every issue that we put out there of AwareNow Magazine, every interview, every podcast, every frame of this film that you just saw the preview for, it's all guided by one question. Is this true? Because truth carries energy. And energy carries intention, and intention is what builds movements, not just moments. Speaking of moments, this moment I own it. This is my style, dictated without denial, my ideal of what's real. I feel it. Can't peel it off. Excuse me while I cough and say again, my friend, I own this moment and refuse atonement. For right or wrong, to me it belongs. For better, for worse, my blessing, my curse, I would not take it back. Not take another track. I won't live with regret, although, please know, I don't forget. You can more than bet this moment is all you ever guaranteed. Thoughts of tomorrow tend to mislead. So, take this moment and own it. All that said, we don't need more perfect content in this world. We need more honest creators. So, if you're wondering, what should I make next? Ask yourself this. What is the most honest thing I can create right now? Start there. Whether it's a story, a painting, a film, or just a quiet conversation, like I look forward to having with all of you. Start there. Because when you move with authenticity, the world doesn't just watch you, the world feels you. And in a world so saturated with noise, feeling something real can be rare. Feeling something real can be unforgettable. So understand this. One story may not rewrite the entire world, but it can rewrite someone's world. And once it's shared, the ripple begins. Some waves we witness, some we don't. But real stories always reach. So today I'll close with this. Authenticity is not just your strength. We heard this word before. It is your superpower. It's the frequency that breaks through fear, that builds trust, and that creates change. And no matter what challenge you're facing, if you can still be real, if you can still create from that authentic place, then you still have power. So use it. Create not in spite of the odds, but because of them. Create because you can. Thanks so much.